all the little community groups that we have, they were ridiculous. The only reason I started coming now is because I have had so much forced on me after 40-something years that I want to see what the hell's going on. And I want the opportunity to vote. I don't want this stuff to go on. And if I don't get a newspaper, I don't know what's going on. I will lay you odds that half the people in this town didn't know anything about the college until we got a college. So we didn't get an opportunity to vote. You guys didn't listen the night that people talked to you. You were already convinced to vote on it. I mean, boom, we were done. No matter what people said, we were done. The only person on the board that objected had a very legitimate objection about the college doesn't even have a plan on what they're going to do and when are they going to do it. You don't have a layout of what they're going to do. You have a, this is what they say they want to do. This is what the building may look like.
Okay.
End of conversation.
Let's keep going with your report.
Mr. Mayor, I feel like we're allowing something to be said that is missing some very important points. We raise the issue, we talk about the college, we talk about giving people opportunity to vote. It doesn't end there. It's a risk, liability that we're presenting. We're reconsidering, change the vote of the council. This town is subject to probably better than $5 million that we would have to pay to the property owners to get the college. And without saying that and talking about other things, it's unfair that you're not including more of the story. And certainly everybody has a right, they want to have a vote, but they got to know what they're voting for and what the liability is. You mention one, you've got to mention the other. Now we're back to our administrative update. We should not digress.
Right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Counsel. As I started to say, State Representative Mark Packard sent out a flyer as the 2000 legislative session approaches. He's looking to discuss potential issues and the impacts on the community. So he's inviting everybody to a town hall meeting that he's going to be hosting on January 31st, 2013 in Royal Palm Beach. The meeting will be held at the Village of Royal Palm Beach Cultural Center, which is located at 151 Civic Way, Royal Palm Beach, and the time will be 6 to 7:30, so I wanted to make that announcement to get it out for anybody who's interested in attending. The next item I have for you is a gentleman stopped by to see me. His name is Lee Wright, and he owns property at 727 E Road. And what he did is he indicated he has an interest in selling the town the property. It would be 15.3 acres. And he and I talked about the fact that it could be used as a future park or a possible town hall complex. We don't know, but I indicated to Mr. Wright the process. The process would be, first of all, I am bringing it to your attention to see if there's any interest. Obviously, I'm not looking for council to take any action tonight. What I'm just more or less is letting you know that the inquiry by Mr. Wright has been made. He is willing to work out a number of deals, including holding the mortgage with no money down, to facilitate the town with the purchase. So I guess I'm looking just for some direction. What I can do is do more due diligence on this and schedule it for a future meeting. I'm just looking right now for some direction on that, but not direction by the property office.
I will recuse myself due to past and current business conditions.
All right, Ron?
Marcus, give me the address, and the Delsinate, remember to file the form with the clerk outlining
Yeah,
that contract. Thank you.
Councilman Gerald, the address is 727 E Road. 15.3 acres.
What was the address again?
727 E Road.
Okay.
That's going to be south of Flecking Canal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Easter,
It's on the west side of E Road. West side of E Road.
okay, west side of here. Did he give you a price on it?
No, we haven't gotten to that point yet, because there are still too many steps. And, we need your input and direction before we. Okay, the next item I have is just a reminder. I believe that Councilman Liang is ready to name his member of the ULGC Review Committee, and we'll be doing that under old business. But this is just a reminder for me, the town council in its last deliberation had indicated that the preferred method, the way you wanted to proceed, was primarily you were going to provide the staff with those specific sections that you felt were priority and that you wanted us to look at. Now, what I would like to do upon Councilman Liang giving his member tonight, we have to, again, in January, I'm searching for a date, depending on when we get the committee together, because I want to have that first introductory meeting where Mike would sit down with the committee and go over sunshine laws and all the things that they have to abide by in terms of being a committee, and then really get into the items starting in February. So I'm just kind of throwing it out already so you can start to think about it. Whether you want to send me an email with what you would like to see addressed from a priority standpoint, whether you want to call me and tell me. But in order to get the process moving and rolling, I am going to need your input so that I can go ahead, start to prepare the documentation they're going to need for their first meeting, and we can get this off the ground. Any questions on that?
Any direction that you give to Mark, any providing information is going to be brought back to you at the meeting to confirm that as a council, that's the direction. So, on that issue. Also keep in mind too, we do have a couple that we have been, dating back a couple of years, zoning in progress, that we may want to consider looking at first and getting those as they've been sitting there. One of them, for example, had to do with the special events that we recently went through for the holidays. So, if that's acceptable to council, maybe what we can do on our end is go back and collect a list of those 2, 3, or 4 items that you've already had to deal with and put those on the list for your consideration as well, along with your ideas.
Mr. Mayor, we have what I guess I'll call a shovel-ready package that Jim did an analysis of, that I pointed out that council had approved some things and we never got them into the ULSCs, and you highlighted those things. I know when we brought it up and had a little bit of conversation about it in one of our meetings, there was some input from residents on a couple of the items that weren't modified enough, if you will. It would be something that we already have, says here's what the ULDC says, here's what was recommended. If you guys, the committee wants to take that on and say, take that as, I don't put it as a high priority item as far as maybe the hot button items, but to me, it's ready to start on. If the council even would be consider saying, hey, give them that first thing, and if something else comes up, we'll put it on the back burner and set priorities. But that gives them something they can start deploying them. And, one of the things, as you know, was the size of the flag that we can fly, and a couple other things that were along the lines of parking sizes and things that we had to change, but they didn't make it. So that's an example of something that we could just give them and say, try your teeth on this, and if you can come up with something else, you can always pull it and say.
And council, please understand, I'm not looking for you to give me your full list as it relates to the year activities of it. This is more or less like a starting point, you can get it in increments. The direction I'm taking is twofold. First, we're trying to correct all the problems that we have identified or that we may encounter as we do the review based upon that information. And secondly, as we can get to some other sections, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what I've heard from the council at various points is, Mark, if you can go through that code and you can find the nebulous and the inappropriate and the over regulatory stuff, also, you want the committee to look at that so that we can shave maybe what's unnecessary or, in addition to the not appropriate. The not appropriate obviously is the most important, but, if there's pages and pages that we don't need because it's over regulation, I'm sure you want us to address that and take a look at that as well. Am I understanding you all correctly, or?
That's what I would say.
Yes.
Let me ask the council if they'd be willing to say, hey, here's the first item. We looked at it, we reviewed it, we're familiar with it. As a starting point, until the council give Mark some other things to address, at least we have something that they start. You may just feel, well, let's not start there, but I know it's something that we've seen, and the background again was something we had approved, but the council didn't make it into the ULDCs. So it's a change to the ULDCs, but we had some obvious things that,
And just to help you out, you may remember about 2 months ago when we tried to kick this off, we gave you a package that probably had about 150 pages. It covered like 6 or 7 major areas. We can certainly start there, if you so desire. In addition to whatever else you're going to give us.
It's fine. I'll come back to us, I guess. I'm just saying there's something I think is already in your hands that we can start with.
I think Mark knows what it is that is most pressing, and he ought to address those issues rather than us trying to micromanage the issues. I mean, he's the guy that does it every day, he ought to know. And I think that's really, as a council, how we ought to approach things. And not try to micromanage what it is he's trying to do. He needs to get done, and we cannot judge his results if we keep telling him what to do. And sending one direction and sending another. I'd certainly, as I said before, like to see ULDCs reduced and overregulation removed. I think that if you want to talk about why we don't have government light, it's because we try to overregulate every little thing. We need to stop. We need to back up, and less is more.
Bring it back to suggestion, yes.
We'll kind of, maybe what we'll try to do on February 5th, we'll try to give you an idea, here's where we're going for the first meeting that we're going to actually get into the meeting. Very good, thank you, that helps. The last item I have is kind of a code case update on a couple of matters. Under old business B, we have the code enforcement policy. You may remember we talked about it, you gave me a verbal policy. What I did is I memorialized it. And I'm not trying to usurp, we'll go back and talk to it, but this is the reason, part of the reason why I'm giving you the update. There are two, because you had asked me to start on a couple of cases, and there's a couple other issues that I have to update on. But the first thing I wanted to let you know too is, we currently have requested an AGL opinion relative to some ag policy, and the ag policy, to some extent, was pretty specific. I think Mike did a good job crafting the AGO request to the Attorney General. But we were very conservative in terms of a number of cases that had any kind of relationship that had a bearing on ag. We kind of stayed and put them on hold. I just want to let you know I am getting some pressures on some of those because, or it's not really the issue with the AGO, or it's not an ag policy. And we're trying to deal with them, but we're trying to have a more of a consistent policy. And I mean, obviously, one of the issues, we were looking at the chipping and mulching as potentially an ag issue. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up, because at the last meeting, you directed us to start code enforcement on that. I mean, we already had a written complaint, we were pursuing it, but nevertheless, you said, take it off the state list and move forward. So we have done that, and just wanted to give you an update on that property. The 2374A Road regarding the chipping and mulching, the case is being processed for February special magistrate meeting. The case is 12-319, 319-320, 14-995, 57 Boulevard regarding the issue with the hay sales that has no approved site plan, signage, or retail operations, or rather business tax receipt. That case is being processed for a February special magistrate meeting. Finally, there was a case that, and this kind of falls into the new policy, so I'm bringing it to you. Councilman Gerald came into the office and spoke with our code officer and myself relative to a property at the corner of Okeechobee and D Road. The apparent leasee of the property opened up a chipping and mulching facility on, I believe, less than 5 acres, and requires 10 at a minimum by conditional use to have that kind of use. Mr. Fleischman, myself, Mr. Garrett had worked with this gentleman. We even had talked to Town Attorney Cirillo relative to some issues with the taking of property on Okeechobee. But the bottom line was Councilman Gerald's request was valid. So I indicated because of the fact that, and you'll see it in the policy later, because you gave me that direction to be proactive in matters like that, I felt it was one that we could get an NOV started on it. And I did indicate to Councilman Gerald that I'd be bringing it back to let you know for your advice and consent, as you will see in the policy. When I undertake these, if you have a problem, then you need to let me know. Okay, so that case the notice was given, and we are currently working to resolve the issue. No new activity has been noted, and we'll continue the process. And of course, if you bless it later in the meeting, then we'll continue to move forward. But it is in violation. There is a violation. We'll let you know, it's not,
Okay, and
it's real clear.
this item is on the agenda for later on tonight?
It's on as old business B. I should have indicated you might want to pull it for management report, but we can do that, that's not a problem. Or do you want to talk about it now?
Well, let's do it.
And that concludes my report.
questions, comments?
I didn't give my name, my committee members.
You were under old business too, I'm sorry.
All right. As per the agenda change, we are now moving item 10, new business up to now. So, Ron?
Before the reason I'm bringing this up tonight, I want a clarification on where management stands and where the council, did the council receive the letter from Mark Guthrie about my ethics problem? First of all, I want to clarify something. I believe that we've got the best management team that Palm Beach County or our money can buy. In the past year, our management team, Underwood management team, has recommended that we pave roads. They say that we've got funds to do it. They recommended that we pay 100% of your garbage fees this year. Okay, the council turned that down, but they agreed to pay 120,000 of your garbage fees. So you should have a reduction this year compared to last year. So that's, you're getting some of your money back. This management team, I supported when I voted to have them come here. I still support them. I think they do an outstanding job. And I hope that 2013 will be the best year that Los Angeles has seen. But we had a situation where my town manager felt like I was unethical. And I want to clarify it tonight. If the council feels like I was unethical, then I need to know it, and it won't happen again. If they agree with the way I feel, then we have to ask for legal advice how we can keep this from happening again. There were two things that bothered me. It was the letter that was directed to me from my town manager, and it was a letter that was directed to the Water Control District, to their chairman. I felt like this was out of hand and uncalled for. So that's why I'm here tonight. To start with, it's been over 2 weeks since I've been able to come up and talk about this. It doesn't bother me that much, but my wife and my family, it does bother them to think that I'm a snake in the grass, that I'm unethical, that I'm cheating the town out of money and stuff like that. So that's why it needs to be clarified tonight. My memory's short, so I've had to put quite a bit on paper, but I appreciate your patience. And I forgot to say that it's nice to have everybody here tonight. This is our first meeting in the new year. I think it's outstanding that we've got a full house. I would hope that you would continue to come. And also tonight, after this subject, if some of you leave, I'd like for as many as possible to stay, because what we're going to be discussing is things that will benefit the residents of Los Angeles if this council can agree to it. All right, so we'll take care of this problem. I need to start by reading the letters, okay, and then I want to put into the records. I'm going to read the Water Control District record letter first, because they've got some people here that's got to get up early in the morning. They may want to say something, they may not, but that's up to them. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. The one thing I've stressed is if this town is going to make it, and if we're going to make things better for the residents, we have to work with the Water Control District, and they have to work with us. We used to have intergovernmental meetings. Okay, I realize we've had a busy schedule. We finished up the rest of the year, but we have not had an intergovernmental meeting. I believe October, sometime in October was the last time that we had a meeting. But here we go. This was addressed to Mr. Chairman Dave Damaris from the town manager. I'm writing this letter to articulate my displeasure with the actions of your board at last night's meeting. This meeting consisted of me as a resident going to the board and asking them to hedge what we call 6th Court North from D Road to Folsom Road. Upon a request by Los Angeles Grove's town councilman, Ron Gerald, like I said, a request of a resident, Ron Gerald, is what it should have been. To have the district undertake hedging for 6th Court North, a request that he did not have the authority to make on behalf of the town. Okay, first of all, we didn't have a town council meeting, and and now we do. So this is my first opportunity to approach the council with a situation that has already been solved. The board proceeded to take a 4-0 vote, with Mr. Shiola remaining silent. I'd like to make that correction. If I'm wrong, Mike can help me out here. Mr. Shiola did not speak at all. So I think by law, that was considered a 5-0 vote in support. This action was taken despite my objection based upon the following reasons. As town manager, I had already approved the town's independent contractor to perform this work. Our town's independent contractor is Frank Shiola. Number 2, I referred to the Florida AGO 99-73 issued December 8, 1999, copy attached. And I'll briefly explain that to you. That was an opinion from the Attorney General stating that the Water Control District could not do work on private roads, okay? They don't do work on private roads. Everybody knows, unless I'm wrong, you can correct me. Everybody knows that the roads in Loxahatchee are basically public roads because they're open to the public. Anybody from Acres, Royal Palm Beach, Wellington can drive our roads. And we have garbage pickup, we have mail delivered, and fire and rescue can come anytime they want. So this opinion from the Attorney General, even though it was in 1999, had to do with private roads, not public roads. Loxahatchee Groves Water Control District to refrain from undertaking these kind of expenditures. Okay, first of all, Loxahatchee Groves, they didn't charge us to do this. It took them approximately 6 hours. They used a professional machine, which is capable of going 22 foot high. Okay, their operator is protected. This machine is air conditioned, it's a tractor, and it's called a hedging machine. But it took them 6 hours with a professional tractor to do this job. If the town had been able to get their contractor to do it, we had an estimated cost of 30 hours. The job would have been done with a pole saw and a chainsaw. At $26.50 an hour, it would have been approximately $800. Now that's not counting the rental of the chainsaw and the pole saw. And that's not accounting that a person trying to hedge the easement along a roadway with a chainsaw and a pole saw, the possibilities of that person getting hurt is unbelievable compared to a professional and a tractor that's protected. I explained that the request for the hedging came from another member of the Loxahatchee Groves Town Council and that there was no other direct council input that I could point to the person of the supervisor Whiting's inquiries. And I believe Mr. Whiting will explain himself later. Now, I asked, because it concerns us, I'd like to know personally who the council member, because I went by the town office today, I asked for a request of 6 Court North. I probably have put, in the last 6 months, I personally have probably put in anywhere from 20 to 30 requests for the people in this town. Anything from putting fill on your road to having your road graded to hedging your roads, different things. But when I put it in as a council member, I follow a policy. I put a written request, I send it through Denise, which handles it in the town, and then it is approved by town manager when it's done. Tom, would you like to say something?
I'd like to say that I spoke to Mark about this. Spoke to him as we rode in his vehicle the length of 6 Court North and watched the branches bounce off his windshield. So that was the context by which we did this. And the context was also that we've been waiting a long time to see any work done, and I thought that it was pretty much uncivilized to drive around in a town of Palm Beach County and have trees hit you in the road, when I can go to River Ranch and drive to my hunting camp and never had this happen to me because I have a graded road and everything's decent. But I couldn't get it here. So I discussed with Mark several times. He didn't jump to do it, trust me. He doesn't jump to do anything that I've asked him. As we can see if we look at my list and say we didn't do that. So anyway, go ahead with your story.
First of all, I'm not calling Tom a liar. but the day before, the same day that I approached the Board of Supervisors, okay, me and my wife, now I could be possibly a liar, but my wife is not lying, okay? We rode 6 Court North from D Road to Folsom. I called a couple supervisors, I asked them prior to their meeting to ride 6 Court North to see if it was in bad condition. All right, we've had another incident where certain people felt like a certain road needed to be hedged. They approached the fire department, they approached the garbage people, they tried to get letters from the fire department to hedge this road because they felt like it was an emergency. The fire department took time out to take engines and rescue trucks out to this road to take pictures and show and see if they could make it in response if they needed to on this certain road. They went out, they took pictures, they called me up because I'm a retired firefighter and said, Ron, what's the deal here? We just rode the road, there's no emergency. It does not need hedging, but you should keep an eye on it for future hedging. So that was the first problem that I got upset about. Okay, so, and like,
Just a second. You know, public works should be done before there is a fire department emergency, and to base our entire function as a town on whether or not the fire department thinks the road is so bad that they can't possibly go up and down it is absurd. Anybody who goes to the Vince Ramos place can see that that road is not up to par. Anybody who drives up and down that road can see that it's not up to par. If your contention is it's not up to par, is it didn't need hedging, then why did you do it? Why did you suggest it be done? You can't have it both ways, Ron. You either did need it done or you didn't. Okay? Just like who owns it, okay? That's how this goes. As far as the roads and public roads, you want to talk about that? So many roads in this town have absolutely no documentation whatsoever that they're open. They're just open. Open doesn't mean dedicated to the public. Dedicated to the public, as our attorney will gladly tell you, means that they must be written and turned over to the public. Half our roads don't come close to that. Half our roads are people's driveways. So please, don't change the facts and do not try to implicate me in what you're doing.
Tom, it don't matter, but I appreciate you wouldn't point at me. You can talk to me, but don't point at me.
Now, do not implicate me in your.
And first of all, Tom, he's got a good point about something, okay, and I agree with him 100%. You know, our town roads, they need to be maintained, and I hope this year that we can get an agreement, interlocal agreement between the town and the water control district to maintain the roads so that the resident will not have to call in and ask the town to permission to hedge their roads, okay? I put in a request, just to help Tom out here, I put in a request to have 161st Terrace North hedged, okay? We had the water control district had the equipment tractor 2 days right beside my house, right beside 161st, okay? And Mark did the right thing. He turned the request down because we do not have an interlocal agreement, okay? I don't condemn him for doing that. I condemn this council for not having an interlocal agreement that we've asked for months now that would benefit the people of Loxahatchee Groves. Now, we had a workshop on October 16th where the town and the water control district came together and we agreed upon certain things. I've got, each council member has a copy. Okay, first of all, it was, well, I've got Ron Buckley here tonight. It was an article written up by him stating that as two entities, the water control and the town, that until town management came up with an RFP or an interlocal agreement, that we would continue maintaining the roads and maintaining the mowing throughout the district. And I felt like that was a very good point, because people on non-district roads, and our district roads, to me, it's all town roads. People on these roads should not have to wait to have their roads hedged, okay? And I'm hoping tonight that at least the council will direct management that if the district is available, that they go ahead and hedge our roads when the request comes in. let me finish up. Go ahead, Tom.
Mr. Mayor, I was gonna say, we're so all over the board here. We're just bringing up things that aren't even on the agenda. We're suggesting that we should make motions, do things that either we've already asked to do, or they do things, or all this stuff. And I don't understand what it is Ron's pointing. You know, there's no ethics charges filed, so I don't understand what he's trying to refute.
As a request from a council member, we're all equal council members.
That's right.
Well,
Tom, I appreciate your patience, that's nice of you. But basically,
no, let's go over it again,
the
Ron.
way,
Let's go over everything. You want to talk about the college and no, seriously, let's talk about the college and buffer. Let's talk about all the things that we've never talked about before. Let's talk about the lever roads to go out to the 161st. Let's talk about the speed bump. Let's talk about everything. Let's just go all over it again because somebody else doesn't want to speak. We have something. We cannot sit here every week and decide to spend all the money six times. You have to be sensitive. You have to understand. And there's all the rest of this stuff to get to. It's already 9 o'clock. You know, there's no ethics charge filed. I do not know what he's trying to defend himself against.
maybe I misinterpreted the letter. So maybe I interpreted this letter, this nasty letter, which should have never come to me, okay, as my town manager going to file ethics charges on me. Okay, and because I interpreted that letter, I've spent a lot of time doing research. I went down to the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics. I had him read both letters, both the one to me and both the one to the district. And he said that there wasn't nothing unethical on my part, but he did frown on the part where a town manager for the people in Loxahatchee and Groves, how a town manager could want to pay for something when he could get it done for free. And that was the only comment he made. Tom, I can make this quick if you let me finish.
Well, you know, you keep breaking things up. It's not for free. The water district did it. The point is really simple. There is a difference between the water district road and the town roads. If there wasn't a difference, the water district folks would have gladly turned them all over to us on October 16th. However, they didn't. There must have been a reason. So to say that there isn't when in fact there is totally disingenuous, and it misrepresents the reality. If there are two classes of roads, you have to keep the money separate, because there's various people in this room. Some people live here, some people don't. Mr. Wright doesn't live here, but he pays taxes. If you're taking his money and using it to do it for somebody else who just lives in this town, because the road isn't classified the right way, and incidentally, the way you're classifying it tonight is not the way it's been classified on the gas tax for the last 6 years, and it's not the way it's been billed to us for the last 6 years, but it's convenient, so we change it. The problem we have is that there is two tax bases. You cannot switch and flip and pretend that it doesn't happen. You can, I guess. You can try to trick everybody and think that it's all simple and it's all so no problem. And the roads that are in front of your house, they belong to everybody, except maybe it's on your lot and it's not on your neighbor's lot, and there's a space between your neighbor's lot and yours, but that's okay because that's all it always was. No, it's not. It is not okay with your title company. It's not okay with your mortgage company. It shouldn't be okay with you. We have to do things right. And pretend we're not, and pretend there's all one road system. We just keep making up stuff that's not true, and we're ignoring the facts. And that's why Mark has a problem. Because instead of addressing the facts and trying to deal with this reality, you just say, oh, well, there's only one set of roads in my mind. Well, your mind isn't what's going on. And I'm not saying I'm right about everything either, Ron, but you know what?
Amen.
You can't change reality. It is what it is.
I'm gonna try and shorten this letter because I wasn't expecting to take this much time, but since Tom is speaking, it's cost me a little bit of time. But basically, Mark quoted ethic ordinances and stuff like that. My concern is here when I get through expressing myself is I want to know from the council if I violated the code of ethics. And if I didn't violate the code of ethics, I would like to direct it to legal how we can prevent it from happening again. Either way, I'll be happy just to get it out of the way. So if I get my hand slapped or whatever council wants to do, I can live with that. But let me try and finish. Also, in my opinion, you have violated ordinance such and such. No public officer shall undermine the duties and responsibilities and the role of the town manager as provided in the charter and code of ordinances as assigned to the town council. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Councilman Gerald, I'm going to end it up with this sentence. Councilman Gerald, I would advise you that the transgressions cited above are serious, since these infractions are considered malfeasance within the meaning of section 112.51 Florida statute. Therefore, by means of this memorandum, I am advising the members of the town council of your recent actions, and they may take whatever action that is deemed appropriate. I would advise you that you conduct yourself accordingly, as the management company cannot continue to overlook this indiscriminate behavior in the future. Okay, that's why I need the council to tell me tonight that if I've been out of line. Now, I personally feel like the management works for the town council. Now, the way I read this letter is we work for management. But I want to know if they felt like I was unethical. I want to know if we're going to proceed. And I may have to apologize to Mark, because I interpreted as he was going to file ethic charges. So if he's not, and he had no intentions of filing ethic charges, then I owe him an apology for thinking that. But I do not owe him an apology for this nasty letter. I feel like this letter, if Mark had a problem with one council member, the first person he should have went to would have been our mayor. Okay, and said, hey, I've got a problem here. What do you want me to do about it? And the mayor could have said, well, we'll bring it up at the next council meeting, or he can't call me, the mayor can't call me, no council member can call me because it's unethical. It's out of the sunshine. So here it is, we're at the first meeting and we're discussing. Now, as far as me being unethical, like I said, whatever the council decides is fine. But the one thing I do not like, and I hope will never happen again, because our relationship with the Water Control Board has diminished in the past couple of months. And this letter I will read, and this is my main concern of how the Water Control Board was treated. Dear Mr. Damaris, I am writing this letter to articulate my displeasure with the actions of your board. I'm assuming he's meaning the Board of Supervisors, excluding Frank Shaw. At last night's meeting, upon a request by Loxahatchee Groves Town Councilman Ron Gerald to have the district undertake edging for 6 Fort North. My father intended to contact you today and discuss a resolution to this matter when I was advised that Loxahatchee Groves Water Control District staff was already on 6 Fort North. Explanation. The board approved it on Monday night, Tuesday morning, and I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe our contractor was supposed to start on it Wednesday morning with a pole saw and a chainsaw. Okay? But anyway, I want to compliment the Water Control Board. It's the fastest I've ever seen them work. But Tuesday morning at 8:30, I believe, they were out and they were hedging 6 Fort North with a professional tractor. It took them approximately 6 hours to do it. But that morning, I believe, and I may Mark can correct me, but I believe the town manager tried to get them to stop and decease because he had a contract already established. And keep in mind, this contractor works for the town of Loxahatchee. This contractor is on the Water Control Board. This is the first time that I see a conflict of interest, okay? And I personally don't like it. But again, I want to compliment Frank Shaola. He does an outstanding job. He's a hard worker. He's done an outstanding job with our what we call our waste monitor. I've never had no complaints in the past. I've always tried to justify everything he did when certain people was against him. And I still think he does an outstanding job. But I think there's times where we do not have to, we need to pay our contractor money when we can get it done for free. My father extended to contact you today and discuss a resolution of this matter when I was advised was already, Loxahatchee Groves Water District staff was already on 6 Fort North and cutting the vegetation. When I inquired why your staff was there, this is to Mr. Damaris, and upon what direction I was advised that you gave the order. Dave, really, the meeting last evening, the meeting Monday night, you already have your staff out there in record time. I'm sure that the district had some other impending priorities, or at least I hope so, since this is a town road. Okay, just a clarification, I've got a resolution up here, I'm not gonna read it, but the resolution says that the Water Control District will maintain 6th Court North, because they have, through 6th Court North, they have quick access to go from one end to the other. Go ahead, Tom.
I'd like to point out that that resolution was in 1995, before the existence of the town. And it said from the town's inception, the district has built the town for maintenance of 6th Court North, and further the 6th Court North is listed on the gas tax rolls that Mr. Ryan was involved in the appropriation of, along with Mr. Sonnier. So if people thought it was a town road, they certainly have valid reason. Only you seem to know.
No, I actually thought it was a town road too,
Okay.
but I felt like we shouldn't be paying for a town road to be cleared when we can get it for free.
Well, that would be interference with Mark. Because he thought, as our manager, that he should be doing his job, and that,
For the record, 6th Court North is listed as a town road that is, oh, well, no, Tom just explained that to you, so that'll save me some reading. In fact, a legal survey will be needed before the town can entertain moving forward with any OJM application to collect the canal road. Another question arises in that if this right-of-way is indeed part of the district, why was the maintenance so sloppy and haphazard? Okay, first of all, I don't like our town manager telling the district they're doing a sloppy and haphazard job. Now, if you go look at 6th Court North when it's daylight, you'll see a beautiful job that was done by a professional machine. Now, if you think that the guy could have done it with a pole saw and a chainsaw as good as what you see, then I have a problem with that. Last night, the board failed to amend a motion to add 3 roads, Compton, Marcel, and Bryan, to the list of roadways to be assigned, conveyed, or to add these 3 roads, Compton, Marcel, and Bryan, transferred to this town. Therefore, since the right-of-way, and this was an insult, this was not only an insult to the Loxahatchee Groves Water Control Board, but this is an insult to the people that live on Compton Road. Months ago, the people on Compton Road, when we had Tropical Storm Isaac, they were underwater, they flooded, okay? They came to this town council, they asked that we spend some money and clean their drainage ditch out from F Road to Folsom Road. Okay, we do have the money, we do have the capabilities if we go out for RFPs to clean that ditch out. Okay, they were led to believe.
Let's stick to the
Okay.
questions on the others, please.
And therefore, since the right-of-way for Compton is still within the responsibility of the district, I would expect that the district will take care of the clearing all of the vegetation in the ditch and on the north side of Compton before the town agrees to take the responsibility for the roadway. I believe this would be fair in light of the district's willingness to intervene in a town road maintenance issue. And first of all, it didn't turn out to be a town road maintenance issue. Dave, I would hope that the district and the town can work more properly in the future. When I am at your meeting speaking as the town's duly authorized representative, I would be appropriate and ever nice to be given the consideration and credence in regard to the town's position that I am communicating as opposed to an individual council member that is not speaking on behalf of the